The year is 1865. Paris, the capital of France, was a city buzzing with intellectual and political debate. A group of intellectuals was discussing what kind of gesture they could make to celebrate the 100th anniversary of their American friends' independence. At one of these meetings, historian Edouard de Laboulaye, expressing his satisfaction with the end of the American Civil War, suggested that the French people should give a great gift to show their respect for America's struggle for independence and its democratic ideals. If a monument is to rise in the United States, Laboulaye said, I think it should naturally be the result of the combined efforts of both countries. This idea was much more than a mere political gesture. France was a country vacillating between monarchy and a republic, and intellectuals like Laboulaye saw American democracy as an inspiration for their own nation. This shared belief in freedom and enlightenment would form the foundation of a monument. The idea reached Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi, a young and talented sculptor in his 32nd. In 1869, while in Egypt for the opening of the Suez Canal, Bartholdi had envisioned building a colossal statue of a woman holding a lantern at the canal's entrance. However, this project never came to fruition. Laboulaye's proposal reignited Bartholdi's grand dream. He would now create a statue of a woman shining a light not for Egypt, but for America. Bartholdi immediately began designing the statue. His goal was to create not just a monument, but a powerful and magnificent work that would symbolize universal values. The statue would hold a torch in one hand and wear a crown with 7 spikes on its head. These 7 spikes would symbolize the 7 continents and the 7 seas of the world. Bartholdi said he based the statue's face on his mother's. The monument was to be named Liberty Enlightening the World, a title that emphasized both enlightenment and the ideal of freedom that guides humanity. The alliance of engineering and art. Bartholdi's design showed how difficult and complex the statue's construction would be. This colossal work needed a unique engineering genius to withstand the ocean winds, storms, and the ravages of time. The most critical point of the project was to ensure the thin copper plates on the exterior and the supporting skeleton on the interior would work in harmony. This required a system that would allow the statue to expand and contract with changes in temperature, thereby preventing the exterior from cracking. It was at this point that Gustave Eiffel, a brilliant engineer who would later build the Eiffel Tower, stepped in. Eiffel took charge of the engineering side of the project. The system he designed was a skeleton made of wrought iron and steel, resembling a bridge construction. This skeleton was the main supporting column of the statue, but his most brilliant idea was to connect the outer copper plates to the skeleton with flexible metal strips, rather than fastening them directly. This system allowed the exterior to move flexibly with the wind and temperature changes, preserving the integrity of the structure. Eiffel's solution was an innovation that pushed the boundaries of architecture and engineering at the time. The statue was no longer just a work of art. It was also a masterpiece of modern engineering. Construction began in Paris in 1875. In France, fundraising campaigns were organized for this large-scale project, with contributions from both the public and business people. Funding was raised through plays, exhibitions, lotteries, and even auctions. After years of intense work, the pieces of the statue gradually began to take shape. The right arm and torch were completed first and were displayed at the International Exhibition in Philadelphia in 1876. This exhibition helped the project gain international recognition and excitement. The silent story of nameless workers. The Statue of Liberty was built not only with the efforts of two brilliant minds, but also with the sweat and toil of hundreds of unnamed workers. Every day in the workshops of Paris, these workers toiled in dust and noise, hammering colossal copper plates to shape them. One of these workers was a young blacksmith named Pierre Dubois, just 25 years old. Pierre had been practicing the art of blacksmithing since he was a child, but he was filled with awe at the magnitude and meaning of this project. Every day, touching and shaping these massive copper pieces was for him not just a job, but a tangible expression of the hope he held for a new world. Pierre's story was just one of many human stories behind the monument. The workers toiled in difficult and dangerous conditions. Some were injured in falls, while others fell ill from the harsh working conditions. But all of them felt a sense of pride in being part of such a great project. Pierre always had the same thought in his mind. Every hammer blow I make will strengthen the faith of an immigrant in freedom and a new life. He and his colleagues knew that they were building not just a statue, but an ideal. When the statue was completed, it was both a triumph and a farewell for them. The colossal work they had toiled on for years was to be disassembled and placed in hundreds of crates. As Pierre placed each piece he had made with his own hands into the crates, he dreamed of the day he would tell his children, "I made the hand of that colossal woman." Today, as the Statue of Liberty stands in New York Harbor, it continues to shine a light on the world as a monument to nameless heroes like Pierre. A difficult journey across the ocean. By 1885, the Statue of Liberty was completed in France. The statue was disassembled into 350 separate pieces and packed into 214 enormous crates. Each piece was carefully packaged and loaded onto the French naval frigate Isère. The ship embarked on a grueling and difficult journey across the Atlantic Ocean, heading for New York Harbor. When the ship arrived at the harbor, it was met with a jubilant welcome from Americans. However, in the shadow of this celebration, there was a major problem that threatened the project. The money needed to build the statue's pedestal had not been raised. Americans were struggling to find the funding needed to complete this generous gift from the French people, a situation that risked delaying the statue's dedication. At this critical moment, the famous Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Joseph Pulitzer stepped in. He launched a campaign in his newspaper, New York World, appealing to the entire nation. The statue may be France's gift, but the pedestal must be America's. This monument should be the project of all the people, not just the wealthy. His call had an overwhelming response. People from all walks of life, schoolchildren, housewives, workers, and small business owners began donating small amounts. Pulitzer encouraged further public participation by publishing the names of the donors in the newspaper. In the end, thanks to more than 100,000 donors, the necessary money for the pedestal was raised. This campaign truly made the Statue of Liberty a symbol built by the collective effort of the people, a beacon of hope for immigrants. When the Statue of Liberty was officially dedicated on the 28th of October, 1886, in a grand ceremony attended by President Grover Cleveland, it became more than just a monument. In the years that followed, it became the first and most important symbol of a new life for the millions of immigrants who flocked to America from Europe. For these immigrants, as their ships approached New York Harbor, the first sight on the horizon was the silhouette of the Statue of Liberty. The torch in her hand was not just a source of light for them, but a symbol of the freedom, hope, and new beginnings that awaited them. The broken chains at the feet of the statue symbolized freedom from oppression and slavery. The Roman numerals on the tablet in her left hand, July 4, MDCCLXXV, represented the date the Declaration of Independence was adopted, the 4th of July, 1776, emphasizing America's commitment to the principles of independence and democracy. The 7 spikes on her crown symbolized not only the 7 continents and 7 seas, but also the ideal of freedom spreading throughout the world. For these immigrants, the Statue of Liberty was not merely a sign of welcome, but a tangible expression of the first step towards a brand new life, a universal heritage and a message for eternity. Today, the Statue of Liberty is one of the most recognizable symbols not just of New York or the United States, but of the entire world. Every year, millions of people visit the monument to try to understand the universal message it carries. The statue continues to be a powerful symbol of values like freedom, democracy, and human rights. The Statue of Liberty is not a monument to a nation, but a heritage representing humanity's belief in the ideal of freedom. It is not merely a structure, it is the story of a history, a friendship, a dream, and the labor of countless individuals. It is the magnificent story of an idea that began in Paris and transformed into a symbol that shines throughout the world from New York. Standing tall in New York Harbor, it continues to send its message of liberty, enlightening the world. This message, as it has in the past, will remain valid for future generations. For this reason, the Statue of Liberty is not just a statue, but one of the greatest sources of hope and inspiration in human history.